being an employee, trying to be the child of God that we know we're supposed to be, trying to be the child that we're supposed to be in the Bible to our parents, trying to pray for thy neighbor, trying to pray for thy enemy. We take on a lot of responsibilities being individuals, being humans, trying to show humanity to other people. So there may be times in your relationship where you feel like, I'm just taking on too much on the outside that I can't display how appreciative I am on the inside of my relationship. So then you have to start comparing and contrasting. You have to start balancing options, especially when you are married. A lot of people don't understand the covenant with God. When they exchange vows, when they make a promise to God, they don't understand the umbrella that falls underneath God. It's God, the spouse, the husband or the wife, then it's the children and anything that comes after that. If you are not living by that covenant, if you are not living by the rules and regulations of what comes underneath that umbrella, how can you expect the relationship or the marriage that God has for you? A lot of people get sidetracked and they forget, oh, I'm married. A lot of people get sidetracked and forget, oh, I got a husband, I got a wife. You start putting other things before God and your spouse. You start putting other people before God and your spouse, and then you're expecting something from your spouse. You're expecting something from your wife. You're expecting something from your husband. Unfortunately, a lot of people just go up to the altar just to repeat the vows because that's tradition. But they really aren't understanding the commitment that they're making to those words. When you look across from the person that you're standing across from and you're saying, I, whatever your name is, take whatever their name is. You're making a commitment. You're telling God, I appreciate you putting this person in my life. I'm committed to doing these things, God, that you're asking me to do. That person is not asking you for better or for worse, for sickness or for health, for richer or for poor. That person isn't asking you that. God is asking you, are you willing to do and commit to these things to the person that's standing across from you in my sight, not in yours? And a lot of people, I think, they just want to get to the beneficiary part of what a marriage is. This person is supposed to take care of me the rest of my life. This person is supposed to be a provider. This person is supposed to A, B, or C. But are you in position? Are you mature enough to understand the vows that you took? And are you mature enough to reciprocate? A lot of people are just getting married because it's something to do. They're not taking the modern day way of marriage and applying it to the marriage in this generation. People is marrying because they just want to be on social media. They just want to show social media a life that they really never had no intention for. Being a husband, this is what I understand. I know what God's intent for me was being a husband. Now I'm going to let that sit for 2-3 seconds. I, as a man, understand what God's intent for me was in being a husband. I know what his intent for me was. His intent was for me to receive what I display being a husband back from my wife, back from my spouse. It wasn't his intent to put me in a situation where the love, the protection, the provision that I display is not being reciprocated. He didn't put you in that marriage for that to happen. That's something that you guys have to understand. If you're married right now, you have to understand the covenant and how important it is with the covenant to be broken because it's under God's umbrella. That umbrella. What do umbrellas do? They protect you from getting wet. They protect you from raindrops. They protect you from thunderstorms. It's the same thing. God's umbrella is to protect the marriage from all the things that are going to fall on top of it. If you are not in a right state of mind to understand what your duty is in your marriage, you do not need to be married. I tell people this all the time. You have to surround yourself. One, you have to surround yourself with the Spirit of God. Number two, you have to allow the Holy Spirit to make decisions for you when you are married. Your decision making, once you are standing across from that person and you exchange those vows, your decision making for yourself and your partner, those go out the window. That's why they say a family that prays together stays together. It's not just about me no more. It's not just about you no more. It's about us. And a lot of people walk into marriages with the I, the me. That's why marriages don't work no more, because you're still stuck in relationship mode, and I'm trying to get to the promised land with my marriage. I'm trying to be the husband that God is asking me to be. I'm trying to be the man in your life that God has asked me to be. I'm trying to love you correctly the way God has asked me to love you. So what happens is you got two people boxing in different rings instead of boxing in the ring that God has prepared for them to box in. Now you fighting over here, whatever demons you got going on in your life, you fighting with work, you fighting with how to become a better person. What's up, Q? You're fighting with all these different things, how to become a better parent, how to become a better wife. You got stuff going on with this, you got stuff going on with that. Now, your husband is in this ring, he's boxing with the same things, but instead of you guys coming together and condensing those problems and those issues, now you have a bigger issue. What's that bigger issue, Quinn? I'm glad you asked. The bigger issue becomes disconnection. Once you become disconnected from your spouse, it's going to take more work to get reconnected than it did to get married. Now, don't let that fly over nobody's head. It's going to take more work. See, it's easier to become disconnected from somebody. But when you're trying to reconnect, that static energy in between the reconnection always keeps you guys stagnant. It's harder for me to push a car by myself if it run out of gas. You see people all the time trying to push the car, they ain't going nowhere. Well, guess what? It's okay to put your car in park, put the e-brake on, wave your hand in traffic, and ask for people to help you. You'll get better results. You might not get the ones you want, but you'll get better results than the ones that you was already trying to do by yourself. And that's what happens. People come into marriages still trying to do things alone. And unfortunately, it don't work like that. Trust me, I've been married 6 years. It does not work like that. And the fact that I've been married 6 years, I'm still finding the appropriate and the proper utensils to use being a husband. But let me tell you something. I'm here to tell you something. You can't go into marriage being selfish. It's not going to happen. It's not going to happen. You got one person standing behind the rope playing tug of war for you guys. Usually it's the man. The man is supposed to pull the rope. But what happens is when that person becomes the person you tugging against, think about it. We both on the same side. We pulling the rope. It's the same thing I just said about this car. If you're pushing a car because your car done stopped in traffic, two people is better than one. So when you start to play tug of war with your partner, every situation becomes difficult. Every situation becomes difficult. When God is the centerpiece, that's the number one thing. When God is the centerpiece. If God is not the centerpiece, you have to make him the centerpiece. But when he's not the centerpiece, you can't expect the results that you're supposed to get, the intention that God has for your marriage. You can't expect that because you'll never know, because you're not making God the center of the marriage. I've been there before. So what I'm saying to you guys is continue to practice. Practice prevents poor performance. I gave you guys these P's 2 weeks ago. You have to practice certain things. You can't practice for you and your spouse. You have to practice for yourself. I haven't mastered being a husband yet. My wife hasn't mastered being a wife yet. It takes practice. And the practice, the number one utensil that you use to practice in your marriage, watch this. You practice waking up, choosing to love that person every day in spite of. See, that's hard for some people to do because people nowadays, they're loving you with conditions attached to it. I mean, if you're gonna still help me with this, I'm gonna be around. If you're gonna help me with this bill, I'm gonna be around. If you're gonna help me with this car note, I'm gonna be around. See, that's called conditional love. There's conditional love, then there's unconditional love. I want somebody who's gonna love me unconditionally. The conditions should not depend on if you love me or not, because then therefore I understand it's not authentic. If it takes certain things for you to love me, if you can't love me out the kindness of your heart, if you can't love me because that's what you choosing to wake up and do every day, I don't want you. It's that simple. I don't want you to love me for. I don't want you to love me because. I want you to wake up and still choose me every day. And a lot of people have a hard time doing that. They're waking up having attitudes, don't want to say nothing to their partner, leaving out the house, not saying nothing. That's what happens. That's where the disconnection starts. Nobody wants to put their pride to the side and reconnect. It's easier to disconnect. Oh, I don't want to deal with him. I don't got nothing to say to her. Trust me, I've been there. But I'm telling you, that mechanism of shutting down, not being, the best conversation is an uncomfortable conversation. Want me to tell you why? Because now you have an understanding. See, a smooth conversation can go smooth, but what are you really getting out of it? Somebody in compliance? Somebody agreeing with your behavior? Yeah, I understand. I get it. I don't want you to understand. I want you to communicate. Whether it's unhealthy or it's healthy communication. I don't want things to be peaches and cream. Because I know they're not going to be peaches and cream every day. But I also understand that it doesn't have to be lemons and limes every day either. Being neutral is the best thing that I could have established in my marriage. I just want to be neutral with you. I don't need to be superior. I don't need to be inferior. I need to be neutral with you. I need to know that if I come to you and I tell you what's bothering me, you're not going to gaslight what I tell you and make it about yourself. I don't need that. I don't need for you to agree with me to tickle my fancy. I need you to communicate. And if you're willing to communicate, even when situations get a little funky, that's how you establish a respectful common ground. I don't need for you to agree with everything I'm telling you, because you know what? I might be wrong. I could be wrong. It's a possibility I'm wrong. I don't go into situations thinking I'm always right. I used to do that. But just because you feel a certain way or your emotions are allowing you to feel a certain way, it doesn't make it right. Your emotions can be the reason why stuff ain't going right in your situation. Like I said, if you know you're emotionally unstable, be reluctant to reply to things all the time. If you know you're not in a right state of mind emotionally, don't be so fast to respond to things. Somebody saying something to you that you may not agree with because it's pertaining to yourself, don't be so quick to respond. A lot of people hear things that they don't want to hear about themselves, but they can give you the rundown about yourself. See, I'm not into that type of stuff anymore. Those are not healthy conversations. You can pinpoint everything I do wrong, but when it's time to pinpoint what you do wrong, oh, the pen don't work and it ran out of ink now. That don't go like that. That's an easy way to create a situation where somebody gonna walk out your life, then you're gonna see them 5 years later happy, and it's gonna break your heart. Because what they were coming to you asking you for was simple. Simplicity. Communicate with me without. Now, telling you how I feel and letting my emotions take over is different things. I tell you guys all the time, make sure, another sticky, if you got them little yellow pieces of paper to where you tear off and you can stick it somewhere, I'm about to drop a gem on you guys. Emotions are temporary. Feelings are forever. Write that on a sticky and put it somewhere. Emotions are temporary. See, during a conversation, your emotions might allow you to say some things that you didn't want to say. Now you got to come back and apologize about it. You see what I'm saying? And stop trying to make situations where somebody is telling you about yourself, stop trying to make it so it benefits or kickstands your behavior. That's BS. If I'm telling you what I see in you because I spend 99.9% of the time with you, the other 0.01% is you being in the bathroom. If I spend 99.9% of my time with you, then guess what? I know you better than you think I do. So if somebody is telling you something, you need to be able to be receptive without always thinking somebody is jumping on your back or attacking you. That's narcissistic behavior. If I'm your spouse and I can't tell you about yourself without you getting all, if I can't tell you what I see, if I can't tell you the behavior that you display towards me, I can't tell you about that without you getting defensive, what sense does it make for me to be your spouse then? What sense does it make? My dad used to say, a fool always runs his mouth, a wise man always listens. Are you listening to respond or are you listening to understand and communicate? A lot of y'all listen as soon as you hear something that's not appealing to your ear. Oh, nah, you ain't about to tell me about myself. Of course they're not. Because you want to remain in that behavior that you stuck in. You don't want to be better. Being better requires you to hear things about yourself that you may not agree with. Trust me, I've heard 1,000, I've heard 1,000,000 things about myself. Now, who it's coming from? Yes, it depends on that. But if I know it's true, if I know it's certain things I've been battling with, and the Holy Spirit is telling me, Quinn, these are things that you need to work on. See, because God is going to talk to you, whether you want to hear his voice or not. I told y'all, he gonna knock on that door. It's up to you to go look through the peephole. And when you see it's him, you got to open it with open arms. The only person that can renovate your heart and renew a right spirit within yourself is the Lord. That's why I knew I had to get my life back to God. I was never going to make it out in this world being who I was. Not wanting to hear things about myself, not wanting to address how I'm treating other people, not wanting to address how I think, not wanting to address how I talk, not wanting to address how I'm supposed to reciprocate other people's feelings. I can say emotions. See, too many times in situations and relationships, including marriages, we try to take over and tell a person how they're not supposed to feel, or the emotions that they're displaying, they're not supposed to. That's gaslighting stuff. You can't do that. If you're not mature enough to listen in a conversation, if you're not mature enough to sit and be silent and allow the other person to talk, you haven't matured yet. I don't care how old you are. If you want to respond to everything you hear that's not appealing to your ear, you're not mature enough to have a communication, effective situation where you might be able to get to the root of what the problem is. A lot of people don't know how to communicate. It's not because they can't. It's because they understand, watch where I'm going with this. They understand in communicating with a spouse or a loved one or somebody you with, it's going to require you to hear some stuff about yourself. So if you don't want to hear that, you mean to tell me you display the perfect behavior? If you did, we wouldn't even be having this conversation. So it's things that I may do that's going to rub you the wrong way. It's things that you may do that's going to rub me the wrong way. So we're supposed to just sit back and keep allowing the things that rub us the wrong way to have an effect on what we're trying to do. I may do some things that you don't like. You may do some things that I don't like. We're going to sit back and keep allowing those things that are creating disconnection. It's funny because marriage and relationships are simple. I see people all the time. Marriage is hard. Marriage ain't all that. Marriage is a piece of paperwork. Yeah, it would be to somebody who ain't never been married before, or somebody who does not want to receive the responsibilities and fall up under that umbrella. See, the thing is, I don't want ladies to get mad at this. When God gave Adam Eve, he already had an understanding with Adam. Satan is the one who was able to get to Eve. He wasn't able to get to Adam. Adam owned the keys to the garden. And by listening to what Eve told him, disregarding his understanding with God, he quickly became a tenant. I'm going to say that again. Adam was the owner. God gave him the keys to the Garden of Eden. He quickly became a tenant. You know why? Because he allowed someone else. It just happened to be a woman. So ladies, don't take this the wrong way. That's how Satan attacks us men. The number one thing he attacked us with is women. But when you become a man of God and you understand that, Satan can't attack you like that no more. When you find your peace in being a man, when you find your peace in being a man of God, it's hard for Satan to knock you off your high horse. It's hard. When you on your spiritual high horse and you riding and you galloping, it is hard for Satan to knock you off that. Trust me. Satan tried to go through my wife all the time. I used to let him do that. I used to be responsive when I knew it was him. I used to be responsive. And I'm not saying it's wrong, but I'm saying the things that he knew triggered me, that got on my last nerve, that tap danced on my last nerve, he would have her do it. She not knowing. I know it's him though. See, that's the thing. I know when Satan is trying to attack me. And that comes from you having an understanding with God and a trust in God. You know when Satan is trying to attack you. You know, even when you out. I'm going to give you examples. You get on the freeway, somebody do something stupid. If you've had road rage problems in the past, where do you think Satan's going to attack you at? Going through the drive-thru. When you ordering food and they forget something, now you got to turn all the way around and go back because they didn't put your french fries in the bag. It gets you mad. It triggers you. Why? Because it's familiar things that have triggered you in the past. That's how Satan attacks us. So when you become married, guess what? Everything that happened in your relationship, everything that has happened in your marriage, Satan is going to try to trigger you with the same exact things. Familiarity. Just look familiar, yeah, because you done been through it before. Satan tried to attack me on the freeway all the time. I don't even trip no more. Somebody don't let me merge on and I got to slow down now. I don't get mad at that. I used to. Why? Because I knew I was right. Why? Because merging goes one car, the next car, one car. Yes, it goes like that. But everybody's not going to think the way you think. So my point in using that for relationships is stop expecting the person that you're with to reciprocate the person that you are. Y'all two different people. You made a promise to God for better or for worse. Let's talk about that. For better or for worse. You just around when things are better? You just around when the sun is out? You don't want to be around for the rainy days. You just want to be around when the sun is out. You just want to be a husband when the sun is out. You just want to be a wife when the sun is out. Unfortunately, it don't go like that. God didn't promise us sunny days every day. He didn't promise us that. It's an individual commitment. You want to be a wife? Set yourself up and prepare yourself to be a wife. You want to be a husband? Set yourself up and prepare yourself to be a husband. You can't go into a marriage with single mentality. A lot of these marriages nowadays, they just on social media just to gas you up. All these celebrities getting married to each other, all these celebrities marrying rappers, all these rappers marrying these R&B singers. We don't know what go on behind that closed doors. We don't know. What did they get married for? Not our business. Is God involved in their marriage? Not our business. Will Smith, Jada Pinkett, Rihanna, A$AP Rocky, Jay-Z, Beyonce. That's not for us to know. That's for the world to know. Jay-Z and Beyonce don't put nothing about their marriage on social media. Social media do that for them. Whether they want it or not, it's who they are. See, I don't have a celebrity marriage. So whatever I come on social media and I choose to tell, it's because I did it. You don't see Jay-Z doing no lives about Beyonce said something stupid to him last night. No. That's not how it goes. So if God is the head of their marriage, we'll never know. But I'm telling you, God is the head of mine. Whether she think he is or not. I know she do, but whether she think he is or not, don't got nothing to do with me as a husband. Because I'm going to do my part. I'm going to do the part where I said, for better or for worse, for richer or for poor, through sickness or through health.